There is a belief that men have been dragging like a shadow for generations, and it silently destroys their ability to create real desire in a woman. The belief that female pleasure begins with what you do, the moves you use, the lines you say, the timing you think is right. But the truth is far darker, far more uncomfortable, because it exposes the one thing men avoid confronting. Women don't react to what you do. They react to what your internal world emits before you do anything. Your tone, your rhythm, your gaze, the way your breath changes when you want something too much. All of this tells her exactly who you are long before your hands ever reach her. And this is where almost every man collapses. His body speaks his insecurity before his lips open, revealing neediness, revealing lack of emotional direction, revealing that he is not centered, but seeking something outside himself. Today I'm going to show you the mechanism underneath this collapse. An invisible axis that controls whether a woman feels pulled toward you or quietly disconnects. A mechanism I call the 3 pleasure switches, and once you understand how they truly work, you will see why some men create impact without effort, and others drown in their own attempts. Before we continue, I want you to answer one thing honestly. What is the moment when you feel you lose control around a woman? When your voice changes? When your body betrays you? When you start trying instead of leading? Drop your answer in the comments, because the exact sensation you avoid is the same place where your power is hiding. You see, a man's biggest mistake doesn't happen when he speaks too much or too little. It happens in the silent second before he speaks, when he abandons his own center, allowing his body to bend into her emotional gravity. A subtle lean forward, a breath drawn too quickly, a tone that rises at the end of a sentence as if asking for permission to exist. He doesn't notice these micro movements, but the female nervous system does, instantly. Because a woman doesn't listen to your words first. She listens to the state inside your body. She listens to your stability, your direction, your self-possession, your ability to remain rooted even while you feel desire. And when that internal axis is missing, she doesn't feel pleasure. She feels responsibility. She feels she must lead the energy. She feels you are following her emotional cues instead of generating your own. This destroys polarity, desire, and attraction in a matter of seconds. Men often mistake this loss of polarity for rejection. But what really happened was much simpler. You left your center, and she felt the weight of your emotional dependence fall onto her. That is the exact moment she disconnects, though she will never verbalize it. Because female psychology operates in layers of intuition that most men never learned how to read. So let's begin with the first layer, the man who tries. The man who thinks women choose based on correctness, correct words, correct manners, correct approach. He enters interactions like a performer, trying to predict what she wants and adjusting himself to fit the image he believes will be accepted. But every time he adjusts himself to please her, he announces his deepest truth. I don't know who I am. Tell me who to be. And nothing kills feminine attraction faster than a man who asks for identity through approval. His body reveals this before his mind does. His shoulders lift instead of dropping. His speech accelerates instead of slowing. His smile appears too quickly, like a signal of harmlessness rather than presence. He tries to create comfort, but what she feels is a man trying to hide discomfort. He tries to generate connection, but what she feels is emotional leakage. A woman does not want to feel your anxiety. She wants to feel your direction, your emotional signature, your center. And here is the psychological irony. The more you try to be liked, the less she feels herself in your presence. Because you are not giving her a man to respond to, you are giving her a mirror of her own expectations, and mirrors do not generate desire. Now we enter the second layer, the body that speaks before the man does. Every man carries a psychological rhythm, slow or frantic, grounded or volatile. A woman senses this rhythm the moment you walk toward her. She reads the subtle sway of your torso, the grounding or absence of grounding in your steps, the presence or absence of tension in your neck and jaw. She reads whether your gaze is directed outward as a man exploring the world, or inward as a man avoiding his own insecurity. This is why so many interactions fail before the first words are spoken. Your body confesses your emotional truth without consulting you. It reveals whether you are a man in command of his energy or a man trying to be chosen. And desire cannot bloom where leadership is missing. Men often ask, "What should I say?" But the real question is, who is speaking through your body when you say it? The man who owns his emotional axis, or the man who abandoned it? The internal axis is everything. It is the spine of masculine presence, the core that women respond to even when they don't understand why. It is not about coldness, dominance, or detachment. It is about emotional gravity, the sense that your attention moves with intention, that your breath follows your will, that your gaze is not searching for approval but expressing awareness. When a man stands in his axis, his silence speaks with more force than another man's entire performance. His stillness feels like confidence. His pauses feel like he is choosing the moment, not waiting for it. His breath becomes a message. I am here not because I seek you, but because this is where I choose to stand. That is the first transformation of the masculine presence. From a man reacting to the world, to a man whose internal world shapes the room. And this transformation is not theoretical. Your body knows the difference immediately. When you occupy your axis, your chest expands without inflation, your shoulders hang naturally instead of lifting defensively, your breath deepens, your words slow. You stop reaching toward her with energy. Instead, you stand, and she comes closer in her own time. Women are neurologically wired to sense this. Studies in social neuroscience show that female mirror neuron systems respond intensely to male emotional states that are grounded, steady, and intentional. Not because they seek dominance, but because the female body relaxes in the presence of certainty. Now we reach the third layer, the shift from reactivity to leadership. The reactive man is always waiting for her response, waiting for a sign of interest, waiting for permission to escalate. His entire emotional landscape is dictated by her micro-signals. He becomes a puppet of anticipation, adjusting his energy to match what he thinks she wants. But the man who leads emotionally, truly leads, does not impose, does not demand, does not perform. He simply moves with internal clarity, and the interaction naturally aligns with his rhythm. A woman feels this instantly. She feels the steadiness behind his silence, the confidence behind his pauses, the intention behind his gaze, and without knowing why, her body begins to open, her breath deepens, her attention centers on him. This is where the first pleasure switch begins to turn on. The switch of being psychologically seen, not as an object of desire, but as an emotional landscape worth exploring. Because when a man is in his axis, he perceives differently. He sees rhythm, not words, tone, not content, breath, not statements. He notices the slight change in the way she tilts her head when she becomes intrigued. He notices the softening around her eyes when she feels safe. He notices the shift in her voice when she enters a more vulnerable emotional state. And this is what women crave. Not a man who memorized techniques, but a man whose perception is alive. This brings us to the next stage of the masculine transformation, the collapse of the seeking mind. Most men operate from emotional scarcity. They approach women as if each interaction is a chance to be validated or rejected. This creates tension in the wrong direction, tension inside the man instead of tension between him and the woman. And whenever a man carries inner tension, he projects emotional chaos outward. A woman senses this internal chaos as instability. Even if the man seems confident, his center is trembling underneath. His words come too fast, his jokes land too heavy, his attention feels fragmented. Women feel this fragmentation like static electricity. It puts them on alert. It prevents the pleasure system from activating. But when a man releases the seeking mind, everything changes. He no longer enters interactions with the hunger for validation. He enters with internal fullness, and fullness transforms his energy entirely. His voice becomes warmer, his gaze becomes slower, his presence becomes heavier, not in a burdensome way, but in a way that creates emotional gravity. He becomes the ground the moment stands on. This is where philosophy aligns with psychology. Nietzsche once wrote that the deepest form of power is self-possession, the ability to command one's own impulses rather than command others. Modern neuroscience echoes this. Emotional regulation in a male partner activates female trust circuits and heightens attraction. Both point to the same truth. A woman feels pleasure when she enters the orbit of a man who governs himself. Now let's go deeper into the invisible contradiction that ruins men. Most men seek connection, but in the process, they abandon their own energy. They lean forward. They soften their tone too quickly. They fill silence with nervous explanations. They try to prove they are safe, good, worthy. But a woman does not want proof, she wants presence. Presence is not something you tell her you have. It is something her nervous system feels. When a man is fully present, he is not anticipating, calculating, or adjusting. He is simply there, a stable force, an anchored center, a grounded witness. His presence creates space for her emotional world to expand. And in that expansion, pleasure begins long before touch. This is the essence of the first switch, psychological receptivity. The moment a woman feels that your attention meets her without collapsing into her body opens. She feels the rare sensation of being seen without being consumed. She feels the subtle tension of your awareness, not as pressure but as depth. And this depth is what differentiates the forgettable man from the unforgettable one. But depth requires an internal descent, a willingness to confront the parts of yourself that leak insecurity when you least expect it. Because the biggest enemy of masculine presence is the man's own unconscious patterns. The flinch before rejection, the tightening before silence, the impulse to prove himself. These patterns create microscopic cracks in your energy, and women feel those cracks instantly. To shift this, you must learn the art of emotional stillness. Not the stillness of being rigid, but the stillness of being rooted. The stillness of knowing that no moment can destabilize you because your center is not negotiable. And this, paradoxically, is what gives birth to magnetism. A man who does not chase approval becomes the man whose approval women seek. A man who does not rush becomes the man time moves around. A man who does not break under tension becomes the man tension gravitates toward. This is the beginning of the masculine transformation. This is the threshold between the man who reacts and the man who leads. This is where the first pleasure switch awakens. This is where polarity begins to form. This is where desire takes root, not through effort, but through presence. There comes a moment in every man's awakening when he finally understands that female pleasure has almost nothing to do with physical action and almost everything to do with emotional architecture. And this is where the second switch begins to reveal itself, the switch that separates the men who create spark from the men who create gravity. Most men burn too fast. They rush the moment. They reveal themselves completely before a woman has even had the chance to feel curiosity bloom. They give answers before she finishes asking the question. They expose intention before she has felt any mystery. And without realizing it, they suffocate the very emotion that could have pulled her closer, anticipation. The psychology is merciless. When everything is predictable, pleasure dies. When everything is known, imagination collapses. When the man gives without awareness, the woman's attraction dissolves into neutrality. Because feminine desire is built on tension, not explanation, on space, not saturation, on gradual revelation, not immediate transparency. This is why women remember men who say less, men who leave gaps, men who offer emotional silhouettes instead of emotional novels. It's not manipulation, it's rhythm, a masculine rhythm that allows her nervous system to participate in the dance rather than merely observe it. And this is the second switch, the switch of magnetic tension. Tension is not conflict. Tension is not withholding. Tension is the elegant art of not collapsing into the moment. It is the ability to hold your energy steady while allowing her space to move within it. It is the subtle discipline of delivering only what is necessary and allowing the rest to unfold at its own pace. It is the refusal to rush intimacy, not out of fear, but out of mastery. Think of it like this. A woman's desire does not ignite in certainty, it ignites in possibility, in the unfinished sentence, in the brief silence after a meaningful look, in the slight pause before you answer, in the way you let a moment stretch just long enough for her to feel it. When a man understands tension, he becomes emotionally three-dimensional. He becomes a landscape she wants to explore, not a map already drawn. He becomes an emotional puzzle she wants to unlock, not a completed picture placed before her. And the paradox is striking. The less you try to make her feel something, the more she feels. The less you reveal, the more she becomes invested. The less you rush, the faster desire grows inside her. Not because you are withholding, but because you are creating psychological space, the space where feminine imagination wakes up. Imagination is the fuel of female pleasure. Without imagination, desire becomes mechanical. Without tension, pleasure becomes flat. Without rhythm, energy becomes static. And yet, the average man destroys imagination the moment he opens his mouth. He fills every silence with explanation. He reveals his entire life story in one conversation. He responds instantly to every message. He leaves no space for her emotional world to breathe. He thinks he is showing interest, but what she feels is pressure. What she perceives is emotional over-eagerness. What her nervous system registers is a man seeking fusion instead of connection. And fusion kills desire. Connection fuels it. This is why the second switch is not about tricks. It is about allowing the moment to have edges. Edges she can press against. Edges that invite movement. Edges that create subtle friction between your energy and hers. Because desire itself is friction. Without friction, there is no spark. But this kind of tension is only possible when a man is internally full, when he is not using the woman to soothe his anxiety or validate his worth. A man who is full can afford to give space. A man who is full can afford to wait. A man who is full can afford to be discovered slowly. This is why the second switch is rooted in masculine containment. Contain your impulses, contain your eagerness, contain your need to be understood. Not suppress, contain. Containment is not repression. Containment is structure. And structure is what allows feminine fluidity to flow. A woman does not surrender to chaos. She surrenders to consistency with mystery. Not unpredictability. Unpredictability feels unsafe. Not total transparency. Transparency kills intrigue. But the fusion of two states, a man who is emotionally stable, with an energy that is not entirely revealed. This is what makes her lean in. This is what keeps her thinking about you at night. This is what awakens the pleasure pathways before you ever touch her. Neuroscience confirms this. The brain releases more dopamine during anticipation than during reward. The pleasure is not in the arrival, it is in the tension leading to it. And the man who understands this becomes unforgettable. Now we approach the third switch, the switch that most men misunderstand completely. Men think women want excitement, or stability, or confidence, or tenderness, or intensity. But the truth is much more nuanced. Women want to feel safe enough to let go, but excited enough to care. This is the switch of excitement without fear, the paradoxical blend of emotional grounding with energetic aliveness. The man who can stand firm when she tests him, yet remain playful when she invites him into spontaneity. The man whose presence relaxes her body, while his energy awakens her desire. You see, a woman cannot surrender into pleasure if she senses emotional volatility in the man. Volatility triggers vigilance. Vigilance kills pleasure. At the same time, she cannot feel attraction if the man is overly stable in a lifeless way, predictable, flat, emotionally neutral. Neutrality kills excitement. Excitement fuels pleasure. So what is the true formula? A man who is both anchored and alive, anchored in his values, anchored in his direction, anchored in his emotional regulation, but alive in his energy, alive in his expression, alive in his curiosity, alive in his presence. This dual state is rare because it requires a man to master his internal world before he tries to influence hers. When a woman feels this combination, something extraordinary happens in her body. She relaxes, she softens, she opens, she trusts. And once trust enters the equation, pleasure becomes exponential. This is not psychology, this is biology. Evolutionary studies show that the female brain evaluates two factors above all else. Is he safe? And is he stimulating? Most men are one or the other. Almost none are both. But when you become both, you activate the third switch, and the female nervous system shifts from defense to desire. And here is the truth nobody tells men. A woman cannot reach her deepest sensuality with a man she does not trust, and she cannot feel enduring attraction for a man who does not stimulate her. So the third switch is not an action. It is an identity. It is the identity of a man who remains emotionally composed when she challenges him. A man who does not crumble when she expresses strong emotion. A man who does not fight her chaos or join it. A man who remains the still point in the storm. Because in that stillness she finds herself. In that stillness she finds safety. In that stillness she feels free to surrender, and surrender is the gateway to pleasure. This is why the most emotionally powerful men are not loud. They are grounded. They are calm. They are fully present. They carry an internal order that organizes the emotional space around them. A woman feels this order and her body responds. Her breath deepens. Her voice softens. Her muscles relax. Her guard dissolves. Because trust is not created through words, it is created through your nervous system. When your nervous system is regulated, hers begins to regulate around it. When yours stays calm in tension, hers feels permission to drop its armor. When yours expresses emotional leadership, hers can follow. This is not dominance, this is polarity. The natural dance between structure and fluidity. And here, finally, everything connects. The first switch opens her through perception. The second switch draws her in through tension. The third switch allows her to surrender into pleasure. These three switches are not techniques. They are internal states, states that naturally shape your gaze, your timing, your voice, your touch, your presence. And now we reach the payoff, the real secret behind all of it. The reason women cannot resist these switches is not because they are manipulative. It is because they awaken the deepest form of masculine presence, a presence that makes the female body feel safe, desired, and alive all at once. The real secret is this. Female pleasure is a reaction to male self-mastery, not performance, not charm, not effort. Self-mastery. When a man masters his internal world, a woman feels it in her body. When a man governs his impulses, a woman feels space. When a man stands in his axis, a woman feels polarity. When a man controls his emotional rhythm, a woman feels anticipation. When a man radiates stability, a woman feels trust. When a man holds tension, a woman feels desire. This is why the average man fails, not because he lacks beauty, money, or charisma, but because he has not yet mastered the three internal states that activate the female pleasure system. These switches are not about controlling her, they are about controlling yourself, and once you embody them, everything changes. Women respond differently. Conversations slow down. Eye contact deepens. Silences become electrified. Your presence becomes felt instead of observed. Your energy becomes something she remembers instead of something she forgets. This is the transformation. From the man who tries to the man who triggers. From the man who reacts to the man who leads. From the man who seeks approval to the man whose presence is the approval. And now we arrive at the final identity shift, the place where the man becomes unshakable. The anxious man becomes the centered man. The reactive man becomes the directional man. The man who asks becomes the man who receives. The man who chases becomes the man who attracts. The man who performs becomes the man who resonates. This is not fantasy. This is emotional engineering. The engineering of your tone, your gaze, your rhythm, your breathing, your silence, your awareness. When these elements align, you stop being merely a man she met and become a man she feels. And women do not forget what they feel. Now, if you want to go deeper, if you want to take these switches and turn them into a complete masculine system, a structure you can apply deliberately instead of accidentally, there is a next step. A system that teaches emotional rhythm, masculine presence, tension calibration, female psychological reading, internal axis training, and the transformation of your nervous system from reactive to authoritative. If you want to unlock this level of mastery, then explore the masculine code, a structured method designed to reprogram the emotional patterns that sabotage your presence and replace them with the states that naturally trigger feminine attraction and pleasure. But whether you continue or stop here, remember this: your power is not in what you do. Your power is in who you are while you do it. Master the axis. Master the rhythm. Master the tension. And the world, not just women, now will respond to you differently. This is your turning point. This is the doorway between two identities, and only one of them was meant for you.